Hey guys, welcome to Valaxy Technologies. In this video, we are going to see how SSH key-based authentication does work and in which scenarios do we use. Then we are going to see what are the common issues you face while using this one. In our DevOps environments, we quite commonly use key-based authentications because with this we can enable passwordless authentication, which helps us to enable automation. If you talk about Jenkins master and slave configuration, Ansible control node and manager nodes, or logging into the cloud environments. So in these cases, we quite commonly use the key-based authentications. So it's always better to know about how exactly does it work and what and all things you need to check if something is not working. To demonstrate this concept, I will be talking little bit theoretical initially. So please bear with me until I complete. With that context, let's jump in. To know about this concept, we need to talk about 3 points. That is how to generate keys, where to store it, and how to use it. If you see this one, it always works with the key and lock based mechanism. Let's talk about this one. For example, if I want to log in from server 1 to server 2, for this purpose, we are going to use the key and lock based mechanism. Let's take that you have locked your server, then you need to open it with the key, right? So same concept is applicable over here. So in key based authentication, we are going to have a public key as well as private key. Let's treat that this key is a private key and this lock is a public key. So we can expose our public key to anyone, there is no harm. However, our private key should be secure. In case somebody has your private key, then they can able to log into the system wherever you stored your public key. That is the reason we need to make sure our private key is secure. Now you might get a question that how we can generate this private key and public key. To demonstrate this one, we are going to see how to create the keys. By using SSH keygen, we can able to generate private key and public key. By default, you are going to get private key name as a id underscore RSA. For public key, it is id underscore RSA.pub. And also we can generate keys by using another command, that is ssh keygen -t RSA -b 2048 or 4096. By using these attributes, we are going to generate more secure key. Now we have generated keys, but the purpose of keys is I want to log into the target server. Now let's take that this is server 1 and this is server 2. Now we need to copy this public key onto the target system. To copy this one, we can log into the server 2 and copy it manually. But while copying manually, we should not use the same name. The name should be changed as a authorized keys. So this authorized keys will have the public key of our target system. So that whenever we try to log in from server 1 to server 2, this key is going to check for the public key under this file in the target system under authorized keys. If you keep it as a id underscore RSA pub, it cannot able to recognize. That is the reason we need to copy or we need to change the file name as a authorized underscore keys. Now here where we need to copy, that is as a which user you want to log into the target system, that user home directory we need to copy this file. So let's take that I want to log in from server 1 to server 2 as a root user. Then this home should be root. Root user home directory is root, right? Root /.ssh/authorized keys. That is how we need to do. Let's take that from server 1 to server 2. I want to log into EC2 minus user. Then I need to mention it as a /home/EC2 minus user .ssh authorized keys. Like this, as a which user we wish to log into the target system, on his home directory we need to copy these files. Now whenever we execute this command, where these keys get created. By default, keys are generated in the .ssh directory under user's home directory. Let's take that here also, if I am executing this command as a root user, under root user's home directory, .ssh directory will be created. There these public and private keys are generated. If it is a EC2 minus user, EC2 minus user's home directory, it is going to generate. And the next thing is public key should be copied under .ssh directory, okay, under user's home directory. Over here we need to copy. Now we understand that how we can able to generate the keys, right? To demonstrate this one, I have launched 3 EC2 instances. Let's jump in. So these are the 3 different EC2 instances which I have created. I have given host names as server 1, server 2 and server 3. Okay. Now let's go back to the server 1 and let me become a root user. So will work as a root user. And who am I? Okay, I'm a root, and if I do ls minus la, okay, there is no .ssh directory over here. Okay, and I can give the pwd as also. So pwd tells about that what is your directory, and root's home directory is /root. Similar way on server 2 also I'm logging as a root user. Okay, and here if I check for .ssh directory, it is already exist. Okay, anyway, I'm going to remove it because we need to test it out. I'm just removing it, and here also I'm just jumping as a root user, and ls minus ltr, sorry, ls minus la, you can see here also .ssh directory is there. I'm just removing it. Okay, by default you don't get this directory. Anyway, in AWS you will get by default. All right, now we have removed the .ssh directories. Anyway, now let me create the keys. To create the keys, I'm going to use the ssh keygen. So whenever we execute this command, by default, in user's home directory, as a which user I'm executing, it is root user, right? Under root user's home directory, it is going to create a .ssh directory. Under that, it creates a id underscore rsa and id underscore rsa dot pub. So let's give enter, and you can see here generating public and private RSA key pair, and enter the file in which to save the key. Where do you want to save this file? By default it is going to create a .ssh directory under root directory, and it creating a id underscore RSA. Okay, then it is going to ask for the passphrase. Okay, if you want to keep this key more secure, then we can use the passphrase, but I'm skipping this step and create the keys. Now we have generated the public and private keys, and you can see here your identification has been saved under id underscore rsa, id underscore rsa dot pub. Let's go to, okay, let me do ls minus la. Let's go to .ssh, and if I check for here, you can see id underscore rsa, id underscore rsa dot pub keys are there. Now we need to make sure that our id underscore rsa should be secure, and let me open this one. Anyway, once this lab is done, I'm going to delete it. Otherwise you can use this key and log into my system wherever I copy this id underscore rsa pub. Okay, so this is the private key, and you need to maintain this private key in the secure in the secure manner. Now let me open public key. So this is public key, and you can see here this key we need to copy into the target system. Let's take that I want to log in from server 1 to server 2. Now what I can do, I can copy this key onto the server 2's home directory under authorized keys. Now let's go back to server 2, and under root user I'm going to create a .ssh directory, then I'm going to copy into authorized keys. So ls minus la, there is no .ssh directory, mkdir .ssh dot nothing but hidden file or hidden directories it is going to create, and ls minus la, you can see here .ssh is there. Go inside to this, there is no files. I'm going to create a authorized underscore keys, okay, and copy the public key. Sorry, this key is oops, I'm just copying it over here and save this file. That's it. I have copied my public key under authorized keys file in the root's home directory. So now what I can do, from server 1 I can log into the server 2 as a root user, because this keys is kept with the root user. If I keep these keys with the EC2 minus user, then I can log in as a EC2 minus user. Okay. However, I have copied the SSH keys. Testing will do later. Let's go back. So now we have done this one. We have copied the keys over here. Now, is there any other way we can copy the keys? Yes, we have another way, by using the ssh-copy-id. By using this command, we can directly copy the keys onto the target system. You no need to create the .ssh directory or authorized keys file. Why? Because ssh-copy-id command is going to create these two. Okay, let's try this one. So now I am going to server 3. So in server 3, we don't have .ssh directory under root's home directory, right? Now let's go back to server 1. ssh copy id, and IP-addr, I'm giving the IP address of the server 3. Okay, this is the IP address. So you can see here IP address I have given, and just enter. Now yes, I'm just going to copy these keys, and to copy, you can see here we need to provide the credentials. We need to provide the root user credentials. And why it is copying only onto the root user? Why not on EC2 minus user? Why? Because we are logging as a root user, right? So it will check for the equivalent user in the target system. Okay, so I have already given the password for the root user. So I have given the password, and you can see number of keys has been copied. One key has been copied, and if I check ls minus la now, you can see .ssh directory has been created. And if you check or compare the date, you can see May 18th 5:10. And if I go to .ssh directory, and if I do ls, you can see authorized keys. And if I open this file, whatever key you can see, if you compare with the key whatever you could see over here, both are same. Okay, this is the key, right? Even you can check, this is the key. It ends with the JIX, same over here. Sorry, here you can check JIX. Okay, we have copied the keys. So next thing is we need to try to log into the target system. So let's see how we can log in. Now to log into the server, we are going to use a command called ssh target server IP address. If we use this one, it is going to compare our private key with the public key. By default, it looks for the private key in the .ssh directory, home directory of our user. Under home directory .ssh, it looks for the private key. If we don't have this private key, it doesn't work. So it will compare this private key and public key. Whether these two are the same pair, then allow it. If it is not, then doesn't allow. Okay, that is how it works. So in case if we want to specify, let's take that we haven't kept our private key in the .ssh directory. We can specify it explicitly by using -i option. Even I will show you that one. First we'll try to log in like this, then we'll see what will happen. I came back to my server 1. Let me clear the screen. First I want to log in from server 1 to server 2. To log in, first I need to take the IP address of server 2. So this is the IP address of server 2, and go back to the server 1. I need to provide SSH. Okay, and usually I need to give a command as a -i. And where is our key located? Key location and username at IP address. Okay, this is the typical command. So by default, this key will be checked under home directory of your user, then .ssh, okay, id underscore rsa. So in this location it will check. So by default we have our private key over here, so no need to specify the -i option. Okay, that is one thing. Second thing is username. So in case if I want to log into the target system as another user, as which user you are executing this command, apart from this user, if you want to switch to the some other user, then you need to specify the username. But in this case, my keys are kept in the root user's home directory of server 2. So I need to log into the root user. Anyway, if I don't specify, by default it takes as a root user. Then the IP address which I need to specify. So in this case, SSH -i, so /root id .ssh id underscore rsa root at IP address. What is the IP address? This is the one, right? So this is the typical command. So if I execute this one, it is going to communicate with the server 2 and it is going to log in. Okay, yes to login. I have successfully logged in. You can see here I have logged in as a server 2 as a root user. Okay, so now I'm just quitting, nothing but going back to server 1. Again I will execute without these two parameters. I will just give the IP address. So SSH and execute this one, and you can see here now I could able to log in. Why? Because by default it looks for the key in this location, and username also root user, it is going to take it. That is the reason I could able to log into the server 2. Let's take that you might not be believing me. Then what we can do, we can remove this file or move this file into some other location, then we'll try to log in. So let's go back to server 2. I'm already under id underscore rsa. So let me move this one to id RSA to /opt. I'm just moving it out. If I check for /opt, you can see here id RSA has been moved over here. Now let's try to execute the same command now and we'll see what will happen. You can see it is saying that permission denied. Why? Because it looks for the key in the current location. There is no key over here. Okay, maybe you might be thinking is I'm already in the .ssh directory, it looking for this one. No, it's not like that. Even though if I switch to the opt, still it doesn't work. Here we have a key, right? Okay, but still it doesn't work. You can just check it out. So permission denied. So how I can make it work? I can give another way, that is explicitly specifying it the path of our id RSA. So that is /opt, sorry, /opt/id underscore RSA. Now you can see here I could able to log into server 2. Okay, and it doesn't mean that the file name should be id underscore RSA. It can be anything. So let's try that as well. So what I will do, I'm going to change the name of our public key, sorry, private key, move id underscore RSA to Valaxy underscore key. Okay, sorry, ssh -i, okay, Valaxy key and IP address. Okay, so even though file name can be anything, there is no issue. We can still log in. All right, now we'll try to log into the server 3. Okay, before logging in, I'm just going to make a move of this Valaxy key onto, okay, /root /.ssh directory. All right, now I'm going to execute the command ssh and the server 3 IP address. Now anyway key is there in our home directory and it takes the key and it's execute, sorry, it log into the server 3. Oops, yeah, I know, because this is a Valaxy underscore key, that is the reason it could not able to identify. Let me move it to /root /.ssh Valaxy key to id /root /.ssh id underscore RSA. Okay, now let's try to execute it and you can see here I can able to log into the server 3, because even though I'm in OPT, it doesn't matter because it looks for the key under the root's home directory. I mean to say I have logged in as a root. This is how I can able to log into the target system. Now let's take that I don't want to log into the root user. I want to log into the EC2- user. Then what I can do? Nothing. I just need to copy the public key of our root user onto the EC2 users home directory. In the EC2- users home directory, authorized keys. That's it. Let's try that one. Before copying, I will try to log into the target system as a EC2- user. For that, just I need to give ssh EC2- user at, okay, I'm taking the IP address of server 2. Okay, of course it is going to deny. Yes, it is denied. Now what I need to do, I need to copy the public key onto EC2- users authorized keys. For that, go to /root. Okay, here cd.ssh ls cat id underscore rsa.pub. So take this key and copy into sudo su minus ec2 minus, sorry, ec2 minus. Okay, here ls minus la cd.ssh, okay, vi authorized keys. Okay, one key is already exist. I will tell you about this key and I'm copying the new key. So this new key is server 1 key as a root user. From root user, you are going to log into this system as a EC2- user. So let me save this file and now let's try to execute the same command. Okay, so executing the same command, this time it should work. You can see here as a root user, you have logged into EC2- users home directory. This is how you can use same key to log into multiple user accounts or multiple servers. I'm using the same key to log into the multiple servers, right? and multiple users as well. Now let's take the another scenario where I want to log in from server 1 as a EC2 minus user to server 2's EC2 minus user. Then what I can do? I can just simply need to switch to EC2 minus user. There we need to generate keys. Okay, ls minus la cd dot ssh. Okay, here we need to generate keys. So I can generate it from anywhere. Okay, let me go back. So ssh key gen. Okay, and use the default values, and you can go again ssh, and you can see idrsa pub. Just copy this idrsa pub onto target servers vi authorized keys. So I'm copying into the authorized keys. Like this, in authorized keys, we can copy multiple public keys. Whoever's public key is available over here, that user can log into this server, this user. Okay, let's take that in your organization 10 users are there. I mean to say 10 employees are there. Everyone want to log in onto server 2 as a EC2 minus user. Then we should copy each user's public key onto this authorized keys so that they can log into the server 2 as a EC2 minus user. Okay, that is the use case. Right, now let me try to log in. So SSH. Okay, IP address somewhere here it is there, right? Yep. So IP address. Now I no need to specify the username. Why? Because I have logged in as a EC2 minus user. By default, it takes that user. You can see here, it has taken that user, and you have logged into the server 2 as a EC2 minus user. So that's how it works. Again, I will go back. And if I log into the target system as a root user, it doesn't work. Many people tempt to do this mistake because they will try to log in as another user where they didn't keep their keys. Okay, now if I try to log in as a root user, it doesn't work. Why? Because root user doesn't know about your public key, right? If you want make it work, then copy this public key into the root's home directory, not onto the EC2 minus user. Here I just switch vi authorized keys and copy it. Don't copy it into the id underscore rsa pub key. Okay, you should copy it into the authorized keys. Okay, now let's try it out. You can able to log in. This is how it works. One last thing I would like to discuss here, we were talking about it, right? So if I go to minus ec2 minus user, okay, here you can see cd.ssh. If you see here, authorized keys, one key is there, that is DevOps project key. What is this one? This is the key which AWS kept over here. Why? Because whenever we log into the EC2 user, we load a private key, right? That PPK key we load while logging in. So that PPK is a private key and this is the public key. If we load that key, then only we can able to log into this system successfully. Otherwise, I cannot able to log in. Okay, I will just show you a demonstration. Okay, why or what would be the use case you will get. Sometimes you cannot log into your system, right? Why you cannot log in? Now first let me try to log into the server 2. Okay, I will grab the IP address of server 2. So this is the IP address of server 2. I'm just logging in. Okay, EC2 minus user. So now what does it mean that, okay, I have loaded the private key and log into the EC2 minus user. If you try to log in as a root user, it doesn't work. You should go with the EC2 minus user. Why? Because AWS kept your public key under EC2 minus user's home directory. Okay, you can see here authorized with the public key, imported so and so, and you can see here this is the private key it's used to connect with this one. Now what I will do to demonstrate this one, I will remove my key. Okay, so authorized keys, I will go vi.ssh/authorized keys. Here what I will do is I will remove the DevOps key. Now let's try to do the same thing. I'm just okay, sorry, I will just open this one and show you. Okay, so now I have removed the key based authentication which I have downloaded. If I try to do the same thing now, let me grab the IP address once again and go back here adding the DevOps key EC2 minus user. Okay, now you can see here authentication server key refused because you don't have the right key. Now what is the way to log in? There is simple way. Either you can restore this key, okay, where I can get this public key. Same public key I'm using in server 3, server 1. Why? Because I'm using the same key. So simple way is, so copy the public key from here. So not root user. So here, where is the public key? It is under authorized keys. Don't copy this one because we are copying the DevOps key public key. This key we can copy over here. But it can be possible because I have already logged in over here. That is the reason. If I do cat again over here, okay, now two keys only I have logged in. But if you haven't logged in, this won't be possible. So then what is the alternative? In case if you added other key, then you can log in from server 1 to server 2, update it. That is the easiest way. Okay, so now I will just copy. So that's it. And let me try to reload this one. This time it should work. Yep, now this is authenticated. This is how it works. There is various ways, but only thing what you need to remember is whatever public key is there, respective private key are we giving to communicate with this system or not. If I do one last test, okay, if I give the IP address, and if I load wrong key, I have multiple keys, right? If I load the Jenkins key, okay, Jenkins key, I have the private key, but this public key is not stored under server 2, right? So there is no point of giving the public key, sorry, using the Jenkins key. So in that cases, you will get these kind of errors. Alright, so this is what I would like to talk about the keys. I hope this will be helpful. In case if you have any further queries, please let me know. If you are looking for this PPT, I am uploading in the LinkedIn. Please go and download it from there. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.